Welcome to Whiskey Nightcaps, the channel where we do sip sometimes, and sometimes that happens before sleep. And I'm the host all the time, Jason Davis. And here's how you know I'm committed to this thing, that I have a love for you guys, because we're doing Buffalo Trace White Dog. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, without any uncertainty, I don't have to think about it, if I did not have this channel, probably wouldn't have purchased this whiskey. And I'll tell you why. Most likely it's for the same reason that you have it. I'm sure you've been curious about it, just like I've been curious about it, but I didn't want to spend my hard-earned paper on this whiskey. And I'll tell you why. It's a value thing. It's the same reason that I haven't purchased Wee Beastie. This bottle, which is 375 milliliters and costs $16.99. Don't try to fool me with that 1 cent. That's $17 basically. $17 for 375 milliliters, which means that a normal size bottle of 750 milliliters would be 34 bucks for distillate, unaged whiskey straight off the still. I can get, for $34, I can get 10-year, maybe even 12-year whiskey, all right? And so now I'm paying $34 for whiskey that came straight off the still and went into a bottle. Now for them, it's a win-win. It's the ultimate win, because whiskey typically just sits in a barrel in a warehouse and makes no money for years. And now they're able to make money off of it, just like vodka or gin. As soon as it's distilled, goes into the bottle on the shelf. However, this does give us the opportunity to understand our whiskey a little bit better and say, okay, what is the base of this whiskey that we enjoy so much? What is the science behind this thing? This clear liquid here is used to make some of the whiskeys that you know and love, because as far as I know, there are 2 mash bills at Buffalo Trace. And think about all the different lines of whiskey that they make. This is the origin point. So I will sacrifice my body and my paper for science, for you guys, okay? This is White Whiskey Wednesday, and I don't mean that in that way. I mean, this whiskey's for everybody, not just, you know. Now this is the origins though. This is the origins of whiskey. You think about years ago when those first Irish guys came over the seas and they brought their stills with them and they started making whiskey. It was unaged, and that's how people enjoyed it. It wasn't until they started trying to store whiskey for later that they realized that, hey, this wood does something awesome for the whiskey. 90% of the flavor and the color in your whiskey comes from the type of wood that it's aged in and the level of char that that wood receives before it goes into the barrel. Look at it. It is clear, just like water. That brown substance that you love so much, that is the results, direct results of the wood that it interacts with. And for the period of time that it interacts with that wood, especially American whiskey, which by law cannot have coloring added to it. So whatever you see is the natural state of that whiskey after it comes out of the barrel, but this is the natural state of whiskey prior to. This is the #1 mash, 62.5% ABV. This is heavy duty stuff. So I did in advance add water to this, because water opens up whiskey, as we know, to allow me the opportunity to really get into the nuances of this versus just singeing my tongue and singeing my nose hairs. Now this is its low rye mash bill, probably only containing about 10% rye, but I'm not gonna talk your head off. Let's get into this thing and see what's going on. All right, I'm sure it's hard for you to see this because it's clear. The smell is wafting off of this. It is wafting off. It's definitely a very sweet smell that's in the air right now. Very sweet aroma. Now for me, I'm from Virginia, which, you know, it's not the deep South, but it is the South. It was the capital of the South at one point. And so White Dog or White Lightning is not new to me. Now, they call it White Dog, but that's not a name that they invented. White Dog just means whiskey that has been unaged. White Lightning, not moonshine, because moonshine means whiskey that was distilled illegally. But this smells very similar to some of the White Lightning that I've had in the past. You know, most of this smell comes from the corn. It smells just like corn liquor, okay? And that's really all I can give you. There's no depth to this. There's no layers. It just smells sweet, just like corn liquor. And that goes back to what I just said a few minutes ago, which is 90% of the flavor and the nose of the whiskey comes from that barrel. And that's why it is so important, so imperative. All right, so let's go in for a taste. Honestly, it's pleasant. It has that corn syrup type of flavor, right? Not a lot of notes. Like I said, not a lot of notes. It has that one strong note of the corn sip type of flavor. A little bit of burn, which, I mean, is good. And again, like I said, I had added a little bit of water to this because it's 62.5. There's a little bit of pepperiness to that burn, right? Which, being that it's unaged, I have to assume that's not coming from the barrel, but coming from that small percentage of rye that's in the mash bill. But honestly, truthfully, I am shocked. I assumed that this would be nasty. This would be something that I totally would not enjoy, and that's exactly what I would be telling you right now is that, hey, don't waste your money. This is disgusting. However, I could see myself on a day like when I want to do something different and step away from the whiskeys that I typically enjoy. I could see myself having a little bit of this. All right, so, I mean, Nightcap crew, what's the verdict on this? If you were somebody who, like I said, in the past has had moonshine corn liquor and you enjoyed it, then you would enjoy this, right? This White Lightning is made at a professional distillery that has all of the equipment at hand to make a smoother product versus some of the stuff that you and I have probably bought in the back alley in a mason jar. So it'd be something to add to your collection to have there. I'm not saying that this is something that you may want to repeat on a routine basis, but it wouldn't hurt. So have you had this before, or have you had a similar product from another distillery? Because they're not the only whiskey distilleries that sell unaged whiskey. Put it down in the comments below and the Nightcap community will discuss. I see you guys on the next go round.